The Eastern Conference features a lot of competition and feisty teams, even though it may not have the same level of star power as the West. There are the Boston Celtics, who are eager to win a title and have been by far the greatest team in the NBA this season. There are the New York Knicks, who are down Julius Randle, who are a formidable team that should not be taken lightly. Some teams like the Philadelphia 76ers, Cleveland Cavaliers, and Milwaukee Bucks have their own problems, yet are always competitive. Since it is difficult to evaluate the East teams, except for Boston, I have devised a more sensible method, ranking them according to their top players. Here are my rankings of the East teams based on their greatest players. Paolo Banchero, Orlando Magic. In his second season, Paolo Banchero has been as good as advertised. He was named an All-Star for the first time in his career and was a huge reason why the Magic improved from 34 to 48 last season to 47 to 35 this season and clinched the 5th seed in the East. Banchero himself has also improved his efficiency to a degree this season. His field goal percentage rose about 3%, 42.7 to 45.5. His three-point percentage was about 4%, 30 to 34. And his assists went up as well, 3.7 to 5.4. He has been the Magic's best all-around offensive player. Banchero has a lot of potential to be a great playoff player down the line, but this is his first time in the postseason and does not have the support system to succeed. That could be seen in the Magic's 2 losses to the Cavs. Banchero has almost as many turnovers than field goals. A rough start for the budding star. Given the abundance of great talent in the East and his lack of postseason resume, this is where Banchero belongs. He is a rising star making his playoff debut, and growing pains are expected. Tyrese Haliburton, Indiana Pacers. In the early portion of the season, Tyrese Haliburton looked like a world beater. He looked like a top 3-point guard in the NBA. Prior to the in-season tournament finals, Haliburton was averaging 27 points per game, 12 assists, and shooting 52% from the field and 44% from 3-point range. Since then, though, Haliburton's averages have dipped to 18 points per game, 11 assists, and 46% from the field, and 33% from 3-point range. To be fair to him, though, he suffered a hamstring injury in January that he rushed back from in order to meet the 65-game requirement for awards, and he has not looked the same since returning from that injury. In addition to that, this is Haliburton's first time in the playoffs as a number 1 option, leading the Pacers to the 6th seed and a matchup with the Bucks. However, he was a complete no-show in Game 1, only scoring 9 points and taking 8 shots. In order for the Pacers to have a chance, Haliburton needs to show some signs of his pre-injury form. Otherwise, it'll be a quick postseason debut for the star point guard. Haliburton could have been higher on this list if he hadn't come limping into the playoffs and had had no struggles for the last 3 months of the season. Nonetheless, this is the right spot for him given the amount of talent in the East. Bam Adebayo, Miami Heat. With Jimmy Butler out for the entire first round of the playoffs due to an MCL sprain, the Heat's next best player has now become Bam Adebayo. Adebayo has been the Heat's second best player for the last few seasons, as he is their best defensive player and the team is just more organized offensively when he is on the court. During the regular season, Adebayo averaged 19 points per game, 10 rebounds, and about 4 assists. He also shot 52% from the field and a career-high 36% from 3-point range. He has been the model of efficiency for the Heat. The question is, can he be the number 1 option? In 21 games without Butler in the regular season, Adebayo averaged 22, 11, and 5, and the Heat went 13, 8 in those games. Miami was also able to get out of the play-in without Butler against the Chicago Bulls. Unfortunately, their prize was drawing the number 1 seed Boston Celtics, who blitzed the Heat in Game 114 to 94. Adebayo was pretty solid, as he finished with 24 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 assists. However, he is not the assassin that Butler becomes in the playoffs at times, and his offensive game is not diversified enough for the Heat to win this series, and for Adebayo to be higher on this list. He is the perfect Robin, but he does not have enough offense to be a Batman, especially in the playoffs. Damian Lillard, Milwaukee Bucks. Another team whose ranking is impacted by the absence of their true best player. With Bucks star Giannis Antetokounmpo expected to miss the beginning portion of the playoffs due to a calf injury, Damian Lillard is the next best guy for Milwaukee. Lillard has had an up-and-down first season with the Bucks. It was the first time since his third season in the league that he played 65 or more games and averaged less than 25 points per game. He also shot his lowest percentage from three, 35%, in 65 or more games played since his third season as well. In Game 1 against the Pacers, though, Lillard stepped up when it mattered most. He scored 35 points in the first half and led the Bucks to a 15-point win. This is nothing new for Lillard, as he has shown that he can rise to the occasion when the lights are brightest. However, he also has some moments where he comes up small, which is why he is not higher on this list. Lillard's signature playoff moments, like his game winners against Houston in 2012 and OKC in 2019, have overshadowed some of his playoff stinkers. For his playoff career, Lillard shoots only 41% from the field and has had multiple playoff runs, shooting 40% or worse 4 times. In elimination games, Lillard does average 25 points per game and about 8 assists, but shoots only 42% from the field and 27% from three-point range. Now, these games have come with Lillard as the first option in Portland. He has not played with a player as good as Giannis Antetokounmpo, and if Lillard keeps playing like he did against Indiana in Game 1, he will have the chance to. He just has to continue to elevate his game and not fall into his bad playoff history. Donovan Mitchell, Cleveland Cavaliers. One thing is clear. The Cavs will go as far as Donovan Mitchell takes them, and that was evident throughout the regular season. When the Cavs were down Evan Mobley and Darius Garland due to injury early in the season, it was Mitchell's play that helped the Cavs rip off a 17-1 stretch. He was looking like an MVP candidate, averaging 28, 5, and 6 from opening night to the All-Star break. After the break, though, Mitchell was not the same. First, he missed a couple games due to an illness. Then he battled a bone bruise in his knee for almost the entire second half of the season, which caused him to only play 10 games after the All-Star break. As a result, the Cavs dropped from 2nd to 4th in the standings. However, through 2 games against the Magic, Mitchell looks more like himself. He is averaging 27, 5, and 5 on 47% shooting. Mitchell elevating his game in the playoffs is nothing new though, as he is top 10 in NBA history in playoff points per game at about 28 points per game, including 21 games of 30 or more points. Mitchell is one of the best playoff performers in the NBA, but he has not been past the second round, and given the fact that he had a shaky second half of the season, it is tough to put him higher on this list. Nonetheless, he is without a doubt one of the top 5 players in the East. Joel Embiid, Philadelphia 76ers. The curious case of Benjamin Button? It should be the curious case of Joel Embiid. Before going down with a knee injury at the end of January, Embiid was averaging 35 points per game and 13 rebounds, and the Sixers were a top 3 seed in the East. He was well on his way to another MVP. Embiid then missed the next 2 months due to his injury, and now that the playoffs have started, he still does not look healthy. He had an injury scare in Game 1 against the Knicks after a thunderous dunk, and it looked like he was done for the series. Against all odds though, he came out and played the second half. Embiid is limping around and still averaging 32 points, 9 rebounds, and 6 assists through 2 games, but Philly is down 0-2. Embiid also has had a reputation of coming up small in big playoff moments, as last season he experienced the largest point per game drop in NBA history for an MVP, 33 in the regular season to 24 in the playoffs. He also only scored 15 points in Game 7 against the Celtics last season. The thing is, Embiid has never been healthy for a full postseason, including this one. He always seems to be hurt during this time of year, including this year. He would be higher on this list if he was healthy. The knee injury may be limiting him a bit, but his numbers are still great through 2 games nonetheless. Now the challenge is this: does he have enough to lead the Sixers back from this 0-2 hole? Which leads to the next player. Jalen Brunson, New York Knicks. Remember when everyone thought the Knicks were overpaying Jalen Brunson by giving him a 4-year, $104 million contract within minutes of free agency starting in 2022? Yeah, how times changed, right? After leading the Knicks to the second round of the playoffs last season, Brunson elevated his game further this year. He averaged a career high in points, 28.7, and assists, 6.7, and led the Knicks to the 2nd seed in the East. He also earned his first career All-Star selection, and he is well on his way to MVP votes and an All-NBA selection. In the last 2 postseasons, Brunson has shown that he can continue his elite play when it matters. Brunson is averaging 25, 5, and 5 on 47% shooting from the field. In the playoffs, he has gotten off to a slow start, shooting only 29% from the field through 2 games against the Sixers. Brunson has a level of toughness and leadership that can galvanize a squad, and even with him shooting poorly from the field through 2 games against the Sixers, he is impacting the game in other ways, averaging 7 assists and 8 rebounds per game. The shots will start falling for him. This might be high for Brunson, but given the injuries to Butler and Antetokounmpo, this is the logical spot for him. This leads to the number 1 player on the list. Jayson Tatum, Boston Celtics. The best player on the best team in the NBA, Jayson Tatum, is the best player in the East right now. Tatum averaged 27, 8, and 5 on 47% from the field and 36% from 3-point range, and was named an All-Star for the 5th consecutive season. The knock on Tatum is that he comes up small in big games and big moments, and that narrative is a byproduct of the one bad NBA Finals series he had in 2022 against the Warriors. While he has had instances where he has come up small, he also has had moments where he came up big for his team when they needed him, specifically in elimination games. In his career, Tatum averages 27, 9, and 6 on 43% shooting, and 36% from 3-point range in elimination games. He has 20 or more in 13 of those games, 6 games of 30 or more, and 2 games of 40 or more, including becoming the 2nd player to score 50 points in a Game 7 in NBA history last season against the Sixers. Elimination games aside, Tatum averages 24, 8, and 5 on 44% shooting, and 36% from 3-point range in 95 career playoff games. The guy shows up when it matters, including in Boston's Game 1 win against Miami, where he registered a triple-double. This year is the best shot Tatum has had to win a championship in his career so far. With all the injuries to stars in the East, he is the best player in the conference. He now has to play like it. There is competition in this conference, despite the East seeming like Boston versus everyone else. Observing how the East develops over the next few weeks will be fascinating and enjoyable. I'll see you next time. Until then, peace.